Veronica, we start with roll call.
Councilmember Walter,
Present.
Councilmember Husko,
Here.
Councilmember Flynn,
Present.
Vice Mayor Hefty,
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, so we don't have any presentations or proclamations, so we'll move directly to the town manager report.
Good evening, Darcy Smith, town manager. Let me just, I had issues joining Zoom. Just give me a second. Seems to be a recurring theme here. So the first thing I have to announce is PV Palooza, which is this Saturday. I hope you all can join us. We have a great lineup. It starts at 10:30 a.m. here. And when I say it's all day, it really is all day. It will go until about 8:30. And we have, hold on, I think we have 21 bands.
Whoa.
21, I should say, 21 adult bands. We also, as some of you know, showcase our younger participants and give them a time to go on the second stage. There's also local arts and crafts and kids activities. And I just want to take a moment to thank the PV Palooza Foundation, which is a local nonprofit. This wonderful event started by our great cultural arts committee, and then it spun off. And I can tell you by the number of emails that I've received from the organizing team, including founder and executive director John Badger, that they have been working round the clock on this. So I wanted to just thank him, the other board members, and all the volunteers, and then put in a personal request for everyone to be as safe as possible. Please drive slow, watch for pedestrians, and abide by all parking signs. Second, the most exciting event of the year, in my opinion, the Zots to Tots Family Fun Run and Bike and Town Picnic. That is coming up on September 19th, and registration's open. So I hope you all register online at the town website. If you do the run, you know it ends at the town picnic, which is super fun. Here we have food, fun activities, and live bands. And one thing I've been actively trying to push is having the town committees have different tables. So we've had a pretty good interest in participating with that. The Conservation Committee, Emergency Preparedness Committee, Wildfire Committee, or we'll have tables. So please come and bring your questions. And just a safety reminder, there will be road closures along Alpine and Portola roads that morning. So you should plan accordingly. And last, the town has had an outpouring of communication regarding highways near us, not in our town, but near us, Highway 35, 84, and 9. There was a tragic event up there, and I think anyone who lives here knows that there are lots of speeding cars up there. So our local, state, and county leaders, not this council, but our colleagues and higher offices sent Caltrans a letter requesting a full corridor safety review backed by 16 community recommended improvements. That letter's on our website, and if you want to see it. And Caltrans did respond pretty swiftly. The town was part of a group that met with them. And then there was a follow-up meeting. So they're working on a road safety audit of the routes. Take a few months. They may be able to set lower speed limits. And the CHP and the sheriff's office have outed weekend patrols. I have heard people who are up there and say that they've seen a lot of CHP. And there's some crash data that you can access again on our website. So we continue to work with our partners at the sheriff's office and our other state and local partners, and we'll share updates as Caltrans review moves forward. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Darcy,
Doug.
were you going to cover the meeting we went to on the VLF?
Yeah, so the town did have a meeting that you might have read about in the press on vehicle license fees. Not the most glamorous subject and an awful acronym for what it really means, which is that the state, as part of their annual budget, has removed funds that the local county, San Mateo County, and the cities were owed. And yes, Councilmember Haskell and I attended a press conference, which got some press, and we are actively engaged with the state, with the governor's office and our state legislators to try to resolve this issue, which does affect the town's budget. So it's an unfortunate situation, but if you do read about it and can engage with your local electeds, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy. All right.
Can I ask a question about is it out of order to ask a question?
No, go ahead.
The 35 Skyline Boulevard issue. Is it appropriate for our town to write a letter? And where do you think we should be with that?
So the roadways are not in our jurisdiction.
Right, but neither it is of all these other towns. It's in nobody's jurisdiction.
No, it is in our state assembly persons and our state senators' jurisdictions and our county supervisor Mueller's. And those are the folks that wrote the letter. So I would advise that we, as a council, do not need to write a letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I comment? Say something about that
Question or comment?
comment?
Sure. I mean, generally it's the town manager's report, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what
I just, we don't have a date quite yet, but because they are state routes that are being looked at, there will be a town hall in October. The date is still getting sorted out, but we will be having and everyone, and we will, as soon as I know the date, I will let the town manager know so that she can share it. But it will be with your state officials and Supervisor Mueller, and Caltrans will be there, and CHP will be there, and the sheriff will be there, and MidPen will be there. And so that is being worked on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So with that, we'll close out the town manager report. Thank you, Darcy. So are there any oral communications? So these are things that are not on tonight's agenda. So I don't see any hands in the schoolhouse. And I can get my Zoom to come up. Come on. I see one hand online. Rita, this is oral communications.
Yes, thank you for taking my question. Great to hear, all the great things from the town manager report, but I really like to hear what is the update on the audits. I know that there's supposed to be some things happening in October, but as we've learned over the years, we need to keep asking the questions in order to find out what is currently happening in case dates and times have moved, which they have moved in the past. And so just trying to get an update, asking a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Darcy, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. Sorry, I do rotate the audit updates, and I'll get to it next meeting. I'm thankful to report that we are on schedule and we are on time, thanks to the hard work of our finance department led by Assistant Town Manager Tony McFarland. And we are on track to bring this to the town council in October. And everything is going very smoothly. And we will also have a finance committee meeting in October. And if that ever changes, I will announce it.
Thank you, Darcy. Okay, with that, I'm going to close oral communications and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any public comments on the consent agenda? We don't see any in the schoolhouse. And I don't see any online. So I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the council. Are there any consent agenda items that a council member wants to pull?
I'd like to pull D, Cal Cities.
Okay. Anything else? All right. All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda A, B, C, and E.
So moved.
Second.
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 Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Becca?
So super quick, as the Cal Cities representative at the conference, I wanted council to be aware that there is going to be at least one resolution, and a pretty significant one. It's related to local control. It was submitted by several other jurisdictions, and I will be able to vote on that. And I really think that the town council should have a say to give me advice on how the town council would like me to vote on that. So I'm asking staff if that's something that could be brought back or could be agendized. Unfortunately, looking a little bit at the timing, and I didn't go through this too in depth, but it sounded to me like Cal Cities wasn't going to provide the full information until like a week before Cal Cities starts, which doesn't coincide that well with our council meetings. So I think we do need a little bit more investigation. So it would either be that September 9th meeting, or would actually be the meeting where I will be calling in that Wednesday. I think the vote is on Thursday. So I think we just need to investigate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to pass 6D.
Motion to approve 6D.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, that closes out the consent agenda. Moving on to the regular agenda. First thing we have is consider acceptance of the Planning Commission bylaws. Sarah, I believe you got a staff report?
Good evening again, Town Council. So Sarah Course, Planning Building Director for Town of Portola Valley. So I don't have a formal presentation. What was provided in the staff report provided a brief overview, but really what's here before you tonight is to accept the Planning Commission bylaws that were created. So these were adopted by Planning Commission June 17th, 2026. So just a few months ago. And Planning Commission had initiated a subcommittee to help develop these bylaws. They had, I believe, a study session to discuss them and then voted on them in June. So there had been discussion about these bylaws. And one thing I'd point out is that there are these bylaws and there's the additional commission committee handbook. So where they're in conflict, these bylaws would take precedence. But we still have both documents for reference. And then one other point I wanted to make that I called out at the end of the staff report is there was lengthy discussion at Planning Commission about the address of the schoolhouse and where we meet, because this address, I believe, is 775, but we referenced 765 for the meeting. However, we kept the address 765 because that's referenced in the code and all of our other communications right now. That could be something that we could consider in the future as the exact address location of the historic schoolhouse where we meet. So just wanted to point that out. The address is no change. But in addition to that, there's language in the staff report about town council's ability to approve or as we were to accept the bylaws. So that's the decision tonight. And there's additional information if you don't accept it or if there's another policy that could be created about the approval process for bylaws like this in the future.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sarah before I open up to public comment?
Go ahead.
I guess I would just like to understand what the problem we're trying to solve by these bylaws.
So I would like to just note again that these were developed by the Planning Commission, and I think it's I could read from the staff report, but to just provide maybe a little bit more clarity on processes, procedures, or additional information related to that. I'm not sure if I have additional information on what the bylaws solve for particularly, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the Planning Commission.
Okay. Ellen?
I think Mary wanted to go ahead.
Oh, well, I do have a question. Where does the pressure come from on the town council to quote, accept or approve or not accept or approve the bylaws that the Planning Commission has created on their own?
I could take a stab at that. In terms of the legal authority, so as referenced in the staff report, a provision of state law, this is Government Code Section 65102, states that a legislative body may establish for its planning agency any rules, procedures, or standards which are not in conflict with state or federal laws. So as I read this, and I think this is consistent with how other councils have considered planning commission bylaws, the council has the opportunity, it's permissive, so it may establish rules and procedures, in other words, bylaws for its planning body. So that's where the legal authority comes to, and that's why staff brought this forward to council for its consideration.
And just so I can reiterate, that's permissive for us to control the planning commission.
Correct. Yeah, and some councils have delegated to its
And-
planning commission the
Yes.
authority.
Yes, and right. Thank you.
So this might be another question for you. On page 2 of the addendum advising the town council, subsection 5, it says generally these activities will be at the request of the town council or planning staff. Isn't it generally so is that saying that the planning commission can come up with its own agenda items?
Yes.
I guess, yes, this would be generally speaking, so not always. I mean, I guess I would give this bylaws project perhaps as one example. I don't think council directed this project, for example.
And is that common? Like every jurisdiction that I've ever been around, it's usually at the direction of council, right? But
that's generally been my experience. Of course, the planning commission reports to council, and so generally, and that's, I mean, that is what it says in terms of the general rule. This would allow for some exceptions. This language.
and do we have clarity about what those exceptions would be?
Not in this document, no.
So in terms of council, I mean, obviously as being elected because of the code that you read initially, right? It has oversight over the planning commission. Is that correct? Remind me.
Correct. Yes. The council has
was
the
me,
authority to appoint commissioners and remove commissioners. That's its key authority over the commission.
Is this and this is the background, the municipal code you said? Is this the 22001?
Can I look over your shoulder? I'm not sure what you're pointing to.
Correct code?
So this,
Am I at the wrong code?
so there is background. This is a reference to the municipal code. What I read actually was from the state law, from the government code.
Okay. Is that okay?
And that is actually referenced also in the staff report on page 2.
On page 2. Okay. Okay.
Yes, government codes.
Established.
That's the language. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I have
Okay.
one further question.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Mary, go ahead. I just want to keep this.
Yeah, and maybe I should hold this because other things may come up if we're not done, right? Is everybody else done? There questions on this?
Well, these are questions. These are clarifying questions for Sarah.
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
the discussion.
So,
We're gonna open it up to public comment. And then
right.
bring it back.
Okay, let's see if I can remember now. Specifically within our ordinances, the town's ordinances, there are specific things that are allocated to the planning commission from what I've been reading, or appears there are. In what sense can they do that separately from the council if we're making this kind of gesture to of the bylaws? In other words, with several different instances where I've been looking at ordinance, it'll say this decision is made by the planning commission. And if we've already said, well, we are the ones who have authority over the planning commission, does that jeopardize their authority? Does that make them not powerful enough to do their job? The one that we've assigned them to do.
Yeah, I guess I don't see any conflict. The town's municipal code is very clear in terms of which responsibilities are for the planning commission. Conditional use permits is an example. The planning commission also hears appeals from the ASCC, another example.
Yeah.
At the same time, the council has authority to appoint planning commissioners, and there's no conflict between that authority to appoint commissioners and the authority vested in the planning commission per the code.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all for questions. Great. Well, we already did one.
I guess it's more of a discussion.
Okay, so yes, if we could hold it for the discussion. Okay, so with that, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the room that might want to speak on this? Linda, welcome.
My name is Linda Brothers. I'm chair of the Planning Commission. The commission very specifically discussed whether or not to refer our bylaws document to you to avoid conflict. I did not take a vote, but it was unanimous that we did not want to refer them to you. Number two, my observation, not as the chair, but as a person and a member, we are created by state law. State law requires our town to have a planning commission. It also requires us to have a council. And yes, Catherine's right. There is a place there where you can start to blur the line. Point number two, I think it's an error to blur the line. If you decide to take any action on our bylaws, you are sort of putting your thumb on the scale of the independence of the planning commission. I think one of the really important points to think about in the independence of the planning commission is how hard what a hard time you've had in finding new members. It is a separate entity. There are at least 5 places in the code where we are very specifically identified as the first line of review for items, such as when we sit as a board of adjustment. So there are quite a few reasons why I think the independence is really important. And quite honestly, I believe you ought to respect that independence. I think it's better for the town for you to respect that independence, because we also provide, just like you, an opportunity for people to have public comment and to have people have input. And there are many members of the public who remind us regularly that we don't do that. I do want to support your efforts, however, to look at committees. There is this committee handbook. We're not a committee. We are necessary under state law. We are also necessary under the code of the town. And your committees, by and large, are figments. The thing that comes to mind is figments of my imagination. But figments, they are created under other authorities and for other reasons. I speak now today about whether you take any action at all on our bylaws. Our bylaws are themselves a fairly neutral activity. We put them together because there was time and time again when we were in action and somebody didn't know the proper procedure. Why do we do this? When do we do this? How should we do this? And so the bylaws are a very simple effort. They've been melted down, watered down, whatever the word is. Once I knew that you guys wanted to look at them and because we wanted to just get something in place. They were also put in place before we had a planning director. And that's why the second attachment really basically is just a job description, or the second piece of it, which is an attachment. My final comment is, yeah, bylaws. And maybe you want to go ahead and approve our bylaws. But then what do you do when, let's see, 18.36.101 is a section of the code that actually allows us specifically in the code for the planning commission to develop a policy. That requires our expertise. That requires our detailed experience. Are you then going to start down this slippery slope and, oh yeah, we want to review that policy too? An area where I dare say maybe one of you too may know what 18.36.010B9 is, but I doubt if all 5 of you do. That's basically my final point. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Linda.
Could I ask a clarifying question? Were we provided with 18.36.01B9 in the packet?
I use that as an example of another item. It's not something we've taken action on. It's just a section of the code where our expertise is required. I can give you one, or I can pull it up on your computer.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other public comment in the room? I don't see any, so I'll move online. Rita?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for taking my comment. Already the Planning Commission meeting for next week is canceled, and I don't know, I'm not privy to the reasons, but the previous meeting about the Hawthorns project is a perfect example of why we need to have regular Planning Commission meetings in our beautiful town. We have extremely competent people. We have a retired or perhaps still current CEQA attorney on that group. And here we are paying consultants for different things. And so let's let the Planning Commission do their job. You know that I have sent letters in previous years when there have been only 2 Planning Commission meetings during a year, and it would only be about the housing element when we have trucks and buildings going up in our town every single day, and the residents don't get a chance to ask a question to the Planning Commission. Except for the rare chance that they do have a meeting. And please help us help the Planning Commission be able to do their job, because that will help all of us, especially with all the building that's happening here. And we get a chance to ask our questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Any other comments from the public online? I don't see any. Don't see any in the room. Okay, so I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the council for discussion. Who would like to start?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. I want to be very clear that the Planning Commission's contributions are very important to the town. And I would like to see, good common sense prevail with regard to when we do or don't have power. I would accept these bylaws gladly. I think we need to maintain a tone of collegiality, respect, and collaborative work, so that I do trust the Planning Commission, should something be coming up that is notable, to be working well with staff and council to be able to handle that appropriately. Bylaws do make life better by laying out rules of operation. And these seem fairly non-controversial to me. So thank you for the work. It is important to me that the Planning Commission adopted them unanimously. I respect that body. We should all respect them. So thank you.
Could I make a comment real quick on this? Correct. My understanding is that one planning commissioner was not present at that meeting and had actually submitted comments to that meeting, so he would not have voted. So unanimous, yeah, for the 4 people who were there.
Okay, that's
Okay. Does that make it non-unanimous from a legal perspective? If 4 out of 5 are present, it's unanimous as 2 members.
Yeah, I would still refer to that as unanimous. Actually, the committee and commission handbook addresses this point.
Yeah, thank you.
all right. Other discussion? Mary?
Well, yeah, I can discuss this one all day, and I will keep it to 5 minutes. I do miss the good old days when I used to complain that the town manager tried to control my agenda on the Trails Committee. Nowadays, not only does it control it, you're provided with it with an agenda. So I hear the frustration, because we see the committees see what the problems are, and we live the problems every day, and we'd like to have those brought forward so that we can solve those problems and not incur a lot of expense and a lot of extra people's times, and we can discuss them and get them done. So from my point of view, anything that we can do at council, it may not be the standard community standard or anything we can do to share authority with our commissioners is a good thing. It gives us balance. It gives us a second place. It gets them out of. It takes away an excuse they have, which is, oh well, we'll let the council handle it. They have to handle it, and they do a good job, and they have a very different level of expertise than we do, and they have different problems than we do. And I'm all for supporting them in whatever way they want us to support them. To say, yes, thank you for doing bylaws. Thank you for trying to operate more cleanly. We could all use a redo and a refresh. We appreciate it. We don't need to approve your work. Your work is good work because it's working for you and you're working for us. So I just think that it's an unnecessary step. We don't need to express our authority in this way.
Thank you. Mary? I'm not Mary. Helen?
Okay. So I don't have an issue with the Planning Commission clarifying bylaws on how they conduct their meetings, on how what their jurisdiction is, on many of the things that are very vague in our code and in our handbook. And I don't have an issue with that. And I feel that this document is a good step in the right direction. However, I take issue with the many contradictions that are included in the document, not only directly in the document, but they set up changes and differences with respect to how the town manages the ASCC or how the ASCC is managed. So that's number one. Let me just indicate some of the contradictions that I found. The language of the bylaws states that commissioners will be appointed for 4-year terms by the town council as vacancies arise. That hasn't been the tradition. People have not been appointed to 4-year terms. They've been appointed to conclude the term of a person who's vacating their position. And that's also how ASCC interprets that thing. So that's already one difference that we're introducing into these bylaws. I personally don't actually have a problem with the Planning Commission deciding to appoint someone to a 4-year term, even if there's only a 1 year left. But I'm pointing out that this is a difference with respect to how we deal with ASCC. I did try to go somewhat through our code, and I couldn't, in the time available to really do an exhaustive comparison of this, I wasn't able to do that. So I don't know if our code has a little bit more detail. Our code is really slim when it comes to both the Planning Commission and the ASCC. And in fact, each of them gets 1 page. So clearly, I think bylaws would be useful because there are quite a few situations where people aren't clear on what they should be doing. I do think standardization of all these processes should be done for both commissions. The other issues is I'm not clear based on the writing for the election of the chair and the vice chair, because the way it's stated, it says by annual election, commissioners will elect the office of chair and vice chair. And then traditionally, these offices are filled by the most senior members of the commission at the time of an annual election, typically held in the fall, and rotate collegially amongst the members. Those two participles or whatever, those two segments of that sentence do conflict with each other. I mean, either at the time of the annual election, the most senior person is being elected, or it's going to go through sort of it's going to collegially rotate amongst the members. Given that we've had problems with this in the town itself with respect to town council, clearly that needs some clarification. And maybe it's just a simple verbiage change, but in my mind, the election of the chair and the vice chair should rotate through all members of the planning commission. And you can start with the most senior, but the reality is the most senior will still be the most senior the next year, and the next. So I don't feel that this statement allows for rotating collegially amongst all the members. And then, I did want to bring up the point that we have had a committee and commission handbook for many years that has been in development to improve and update it. And I take Linda's point about whether or not the two commissions should actually be part of that. And I would tend to agree that they probably shouldn't be part of that. But that is also something that hasn't been finalized at the town council level. And I would think that that was a decision the town council would be to make. And then let's see what else is on my line. So it does say there was some confusion on my mind about calling special meetings. It's not listed that it could be called by town council or staff. It's only listed by planning commission, I believe. And then just to note, I note Linda's comments about the town council not having a say in the amendments to the bylaws. I tend not to 100% agree with her about the planning commission being able to stay independent regardless, even if the town council were to have some say on how the bylaws are. Let's see. Review of land use application. Let me just check that real quick. Well, before I get to that, you had mentioned 18.36.010B. I'm at that point on my computer. I do not see anything relevant to planning commission bylaws. So either I have the number wrong or something, but I don't. So I mean, that's it for right now. I'll come back to that other point.
Mr. Chairman, she made those comments during the comment period on our rules, which we greatly appreciated. And I will be happy to go through the comments she made because we specifically discussed at least the 3 issues and came to the language that we have here. My reference to the undergrounding, that's the section of the building code that requires any new building to underground the electrical power lines. And if you look at 0109, you will see that there's a sentence in there that specifically gives the planning commission authority to come up with a policy. So I use that as an example of asking you where you're going to draw the line. If you want to look at our planning commission policy rules, or then are you going to want to look at the policy we make under a specific law? And it goes to my argument about independence. It had nothing to do with the bylaws per se. Sorry, my phone's talking. So that's with regard to your comment about the most senior. It doesn't say the most senior. It says it's plural. That's also your question about filling a vacant spot. We were worried about having so many vacancies that, for example, when the planning commission heard the EIR on the Stanford development between a vacancy and ethical conflicts, there were only 3 of us. And that's pretty slim pickings for the biggest development that's come through this town since I've been here. So that's specifically why we chose for us to try to fill the vacancies rather than wait till the end of the year. I understood and I appreciated, Rebecca, very much that you submitted those comments, and we did discuss them. And I think one of your other comments was submitted by one of the commissioners, and we also specifically discussed all of his comments that were submitted in his absence.
Okay, thank you. Helen?
So Chair Brothers, so I'm grateful for everything you do for the town. And I am grateful for the Planning Commission and what they do for the town. But you aren't elected, and so I'm worried about this action. I would also point out that the part of the reason that we're having a hard time finding commissioners is that we have 19 commissions, I think. committees, and 4,200 people. So basically we have about roughly, give or take, 200 people for every committee. And that includes our kids, which are not allowed. So part of it is just we have a lot of volunteer opportunities with people with not as much time as they used to have, potentially. So, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, but it does, I would accept these bylaws with the striking of the word generally. I would say that these activities will be at the request of council or planning staff. So, because I am concerned because, for instance, the item that we heard tonight with concerning Hawthorns, I have the sense that from your comments tonight that you would go off in a different direction from what this body is headed towards. And so that concerns me. So you have passed your time.
So please, sorry.
Thank you. So those are, so that's, so I appreciate again what the Planning Commission is doing, but I do have some concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Everybody had their say? Okay. So I am sensitive to the fact that the Planning Commission is not elected. And I think this is sort of, to my mind, this is an appropriate compromise to accept them. The council is ultimately responsible for the finances of this town. And I could easily imagine the Planning Commission could decide to start doing a bunch of stuff that could potentially take a lot of staff time. And that seems inappropriate. On the other hand, I've been on the Planning Commission and we've had a Planning Commission a long time and it's worked well. So I would be in favor of accepting these and see how it goes. I'm a little uncomfortable with the 4 years. I mean, that's not the way we've done it. We've always just had people fill out the term. It's not that you had to wait a year to assign them, but if there was 2 years left, you only did it for 2 years. And that way we kept everything regular. I would be more comfortable with that. But to me, that's relatively small. And if you guys feel like you discussed it, we can try it. And if it's not working, then it can come back here and we can try to fix it. So personally, I'm comfortable with accepting these, but I do think it's important that we accept them. So with that,
on Council Member Flynn's comments. I thought that was your points were really well taken, Rebecca. And I thought they all pointed to the fact that we would do a lot better if we just let the Planning Commission make its own bylaws, because we have not been able to fix the committee handbook. We have not been able to get a consistent ASCC Planning Commission. We have not taken any of these inaccuracies out. And it's been years and years. And if you saw Linda at work, doing her best and maybe making a few mistakes, then going to work at the Planning Commission and discovering that, in fact, you can't get anybody to fill that 4-year thing. Maybe we better make it 1 year. Then they don't have to come to us and get our quote approval or our acceptance. They would be able to actually have some alacrity and some mobility and some. So I just suggest that your points are really well taken, and a yeoman effort that somebody actually tried to fix some of the inaccuracies. And yes, it wasn't complete, and everybody knows that to err is human. But to be flexible is divine, and we could give them the opportunity to be.
Can I ask a question actually about the terms? Because my understanding is that right now the terms expire 1 year apart. Is that accurate in 27 and 28, the 4-year terms. We are not on a 2-year cycle even right now. So this might be something that we might want to consider more important, like in terms of the timing of appointments. Maybe we do option 3, I think it was, where we ask them to come back and fix this section or something with the appointment opportunity.
Okay. So I think we have before us roughly 4 choices. We can accept them. We can vote not to accept them. We can direct staff to develop a policy, or we can continue this for a future meeting. I would accept a motion on any of those 4.
Motion to accept as they are.
Okay. Do I have a second? I will second it. Okay. So we have a motion. We have a second.
Could I make an alternate emotion, amendment or yeah. I would, be able to accept these if we could change, section 2 officer subcommittees and roles 2.0. And right now it's traditionally these offices are filled by the most senior members of the commission at the time of the annual election, typically held in fall, and rotate collegially amongst the members. I would add the word initially. These offices are initially filled by the most senior members of the commission at the time of the annual election, typical, whatever. I would add the word initially to that, just to clarify that we're not going to be bouncing back and forth between the most senior members in the case that the collegial portion of it doesn't work out.
So Judith, would you accept a modification to the motion that the planning commission consider this versus that we are?
I would accept them as they are. I trust the planning commission to go ahead and take these under advisement on their good points, their logical points, and I don't want to undo the work of the planning commission.
Yeah, and that was sort of what I was trying
Yeah.
to suggest is
Yeah.
that they take it under consideration, but
Yeah.
we're not requesting a change. We're requesting that they consider it.
Yeah, but accepting. Like
Yeah,
I would,
accepting
Yeah.
and yeah. So, all right. So we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
I guess I would just note that Councilmember Flynn made an alternative motion. I did not hear a second
Oh,
on
okay.
that motion.
My apology. Thank you.
And so unless someone's going to second it, I'd say that one dies for lack of second.
I'm happy to second.
Okay. Okay. So now the order. Okay. So we have a motion. We have a second. We have 2 motions. And
So-
remind me the
Yeah.
order that they get. There's a specific order.
Under Rosenberg's rules of order, they go in reverse order. So Councilmember Flynn's motion will be voted on first, and then Councilmember Haskell's motion would be voted on if Councilmember Flynn's motion fails.
Can I ask to make a friendly amendment to Councilmember Flynn's?
I'm allowed to consider it. Yes.
to strike the word generally.
Where is that?
On advising town council, page 50 of the packet, page 2 of the bylaws. Addendum
2 of the bylaws addendum.
of the addendum. So advising and the last sentence and advising the town council. So generally these activities will be at the request of the town council or planning staff.
Page 50. Sorry. Sorry. Could you give me the page again?
It's page 2 of the addendum
What page of the packet?
and page 50 of the packet.
And then where's the generally?
It's the last sentence of the paragraph.
Planning assets on page 50. Of which paragraph? I'm sorry. I'm trying to find it and then.
On page 50, advising the town council,
Oh, okay, okay.
section 5.
They provide recommendations to the town council on what, including generally these activities with the rest of the town council. I guess I would not accept that because I think there's a role for the planning commission to come up with their own projects as long as it fits into their budget, in which case they would not be able to they would not have access to staff, but if they want to work on a project that they want to work on, I think somehow they need to be allowed to do that. I don't know.
So we have two motions. We've got the motion from Councilmember Flynn. I'd like to take a vote on it. So all in favor of Rebecca Flynn's motion, say aye.
I
Hi.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Nay. Okay, so it's two yay and 3 nay. So that motion fails. Moving on to the motion from Councilmember Haskell. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I, as long as you have what we discussed.
No, this is her motion.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, her motion is to basically accept it. That was basically, and then she was going to trust the planning commission to have heard our comments and deal with them appropriately. But we're not, the only thing we're voting on here is we're accepting their bylaws.
okay. Well, I mean, just want people to be aware that we didn't discuss, I discussed it, but we didn't talk about the fact that special meetings, based on these bylaws, special meetings can only be called by the commissioner, not by the staff or the town council. So just be aware of that thing.
And so maybe planning commission can take that under advisement as well. So anyway, I think we have 3 ayes and I didn't get, the nays are, was that a,
Say I and
Okay.
hope that planning commission will consider these carefully.
and Helen, where did you come out?
I will say reluctantly I, but I have my concerns. So
Okay. All right. So with that, the motion passes. Thank you, Linda, for giving us your input. Thank you, everyone. Good night. All right. So now let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Okay. Tell you, it's so hot in here. I feel like my brain is baking.
Well, that's because the other things.
All right. So moving on to 7B. This is consider acceptance of an updated council for 2026 council meetings. And this has to do with our regular meetings falling around holidays. So is there a staff report to go with this, or is there any discussion?
No formal presentation, just
Okay.
Council received the remaining meeting schedule for the year and considered the November meetings are two regular meetings in November. One falls on November 11th, which is Veterans Day, and then the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So council can consider scheduling a special meeting on November 18th, which is a regularly scheduled planning commission meeting. So planning commission would have to be scheduled or schedule their own special meeting. Or alternatively, the council can discuss alternate special meeting dates.
All right. Any questions for Veronica?
You had answered my question before that in the event that we decide on this date, that the planning commission meeting that was scheduled for that date would then be canceled or rescheduled.
Or moved?
Just wanted to confirm that.
Correct. If council decides to hold November 18th, then planning commission will have to reschedule.
Any other questions for Veronica?
I do have a question. I don't see it listed. I'm assuming December 23rd is canceled, not scheduled, because that would be the following one after December 9th.
Yeah, that's our second December meeting, which is usually canceled for the holidays.
Just double checking. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I will open it up for public comment. Anyone in the room would like to comment on this hot topic? All right. I see nobody in the room. And I see nobody online. So I'm going to close public comment. Bring it either back for discussion or for a motion.
I will propose a motion
Right.
to cancel the 2 regular November meetings on November 11th and November 25th and schedule a special meeting on November.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. All right. Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Moving on to 7C, amended employment agreement for the town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I will present this item. I do not have a PowerPoint presentation. This is an item to consider an amendment to the town manager's 2025 employment agreement with the town. The amendment would increase the annual base salary from $250,000 to $268,500, effective July 1, 2026. And that effective date is the same as the rest of town staff, which were authorized CPI adjustments. The town manager contract does not have any automatic CPI adjustments. And so that is the only amendment that is proposed by this. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions for Catherine? All right. I don't see any questions for Catherine. I will open it up for.
I was just going to ask if there was any changes made to any of the contracts other than what you just discussed from what we discussed in special meeting.
No other change. This is the only change is the salary adjustment.
All right. I'm going to open it for public comment in the schoolhouse. I'm seeing no one in the schoolhouse. I see no one online. I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the council for discussion or a motion.
I make a motion to accept
I
this
second it.
contract.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Can I actually have a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. I would just note, obviously I support this. I voted for it. But I would note that and this is a different topic and it's not agendized, so this is just a comment, that we also need to think about raises if the tax measure passes, about raises for the rest of town staff in January. Thank you.
Okay. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Darcy. We're really glad to have you here. All right. Let me move on to the next item, which is 7D. So Tony, is this you? Yeah.
That made a difference. Opening the back door was a major change.
Where's your book? We can open this door.
Oh, good point. I was thinking of the only book I have is a laptop.
Or a chair, maybe?
I don't know. If you push that one all the way open, Mary, does it stay? Push it all the way, like completely wide open. Does it latch? No. Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We'll suffer through. This is our last review. All right, how are we doing? There we go.
Great. We're doing great.
All right.
So I have a brief presentation, and then we have representatives from Eaton Associates here tonight online. They will do a brief presentation as well, and then we will open it up for questions from council. But tonight's item is to consider adopting a resolution for the town manager to execute a professional services agreement with Eaton Associates in an amount not to exceed $175,900 for October 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2028. So we began the RFP process back in May. We did receive 6 proposals. The 6 firms are Apex, Eaton Associates, Affinity Technologies, Silicon Connections, Stepford, and the Network Connection. Also, the chart here has their 3-year cost proposals, ranging from $175,000 for 3 years to $426,000. The selection criteria was in 4 separate areas. One was a review of the proposal packet. Every proposal that was submitted met all the criteria that was requested in the RFP. The second criteria was interviews. We interviewed 5 of the 6 firms. The third criteria was cost estimates, and then the last criteria was references. In all categories, each client or each proposal, each firm did really well in regards to interviews, and then we ranked by cost estimates. But where the separation came for Eaton Associates was the references. We reached out to 2 of their references who got back to us within either the same day or by the next day, and we had scheduled follow-up calls with these reference checks, and those calls lasted about 45 minutes to 1 hour. And then one of the references actually said we should talk to a third reference as well. The 3 references were in 3 separate environments. One reference was a completely 100% remote environment. The second one was hybrid, and the third one was 100% where Eaton was hands-on. Their IT department, which is our environment. The hybrid reference, 5 years ago, they were in the same boat as we are in regards to their IT department. However, over the last 5 years, they've been able to make some additional investments. They've hired some IT analysts. They've got an IT manager, so it's more of a hybrid approach. Their contract is coming up, and they did state that they were going to be keeping Eaton and Associates on as their IT service provider, even though they are taking on more IT responsibilities. And so these comments that we received weighed very heavily in the favor of Eaton and Associates, and combined with everything taken into consideration is the reason why staff is recommending Eaton and Associates to be our next IT service provider. Joining us tonight, the Eaton Associates team is John Eaton, who's the CEO, Gabrielle Nelson, who is the account manager, and maybe or maybe not Adrian Eaton. I know he had a time constraint, but that's my introduction of the Eaton Associates team, and then I will turn it over to them for further presentation.
Hi.
Thank you, Tony.
Hi, everybody. I can share my screen.
And good evening, everybody. This is John Eaton.
All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting us to join you all today. My name is Gabby Nelson. I would be the town's account manager and primary point of contact. John Eaton, president, is also here with me. First, we do want to thank the town for the opportunity to participate in the RFP process. We do recognize the amount of time, coordination, and effort that goes into a process like this, and we really appreciate all the work that the town staff put into it. We're honored to have been selected, and we're really excited about the opportunity to partner with Portola Valley. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, we would like to take the next few minutes to introduce who we are, how we support our municipal clients, and what the town can expect from us as a partner. I'll leave it up to the council for what they prefer, but you can please feel free to ask questions either throughout the presentation, or we can leave time at the end. I don't know if there is a current preference for the council.
I mean, why don't you give us your presentation, and then I'll open it up to the council members for questions.
You got it. All right, so to start, we are a local company. Our headquarters are in San Mateo, and we have a long history of supporting organizations throughout the Bay Area and surrounding communities. We provide comprehensive IT services, and our role goes well beyond simply responding just when something breaks. Our goal is to become an extension of the town's team and to provide technical resources, cybersecurity expertise, and strategic guidance needed to support the town's operations. We also understand that supporting a local government organization comes with very unique requirements around security, compliance, availability, and public service. So we do want to stress that we are SOC 2 certified and CJIS compliant. We also have extensive experience supporting municipalities and other public sector organizations with IT environments and requirements that are very similar to Portola Valley. So what you can expect from us during our partnership, our focus will be keeping the town's technology secure, reliable, and available. We do provide 24/7, 365 infrastructure and cybersecurity monitoring, meaning that there are eyes on the town's environment around the clock. Our help desk operates during extended business hours, and we also have processes in place to respond to any priority one issues should they occur outside of standard hours. We also take a proactive approach when it comes to maintenance. So rather than waiting for an issue to occur, we perform regularly scheduled maintenance to keep systems patched and updated and operating as they should. As part of this process, we also validate backups, review alerts, and we will help identify any potential issues before they become a larger problem for the town. And of course, maintenance is always going to occur outside of town business hours to prevent any disruption to staff. We also want to stress, it's an important note that our role isn't just limited to day-to-day IT support. We really do want to be a strategic partner to the town, and this will include helping with IT project management, technology roadmaps, budgeting and planning, lifecycle management, and any long-term strategic decisions. Our goal is to really understand where the town is today, where it wants to go, and then we can help build a practical technology roadmap to get there. Cybersecurity is a major part of our approach. As part of our partnership, we would deploy and manage a number of cybersecurity tools designed to strengthen the town's overall security posture. These tools don't simply alert us when something unusual happens. Where appropriate, they can actually take automated action to help contain a threat. We do see the combination of technology, monitoring, automation, and human oversight as critical to providing comprehensive IT support to the town. Something else that's extremely important to us is accountability. We provide the same level of care and attention to all of our clients, regardless of their size. Some examples here are representative of clients that have environments very similar to Portola Valley. We establish service level objectives with all of our clients, and we continuously monitor how we're performing against those expectations. We track service metrics through live dashboards, and we use those metrics to identify trends, address issues, and continually improve our service. We also provide regular reporting so the town has visibility into our ticket metrics. We really see these metrics as a way to demonstrate our performance through clear and measurable results. We have significant experience supporting local government organizations. Here are two examples of government clients that we currently support. While we do understand that every organization is different, these clients have many of the same considerations that Portola Valley has. This is including public sector operations, cybersecurity requirements, compliance considerations, and then just the need for reliable technology. That experience that we are bringing is valuable because we understand that municipal IT isn't just simply about keeping computers running. Technology supports critical public services, and we know that when systems are unavailable, it directly impacts the community. So our experience working with the town, our experience working with municipalities will allow us to bring that same perspective to the town. So ultimately, we really want to be more than an IT vendor. The qualities we strive to bring to every partnership is responsiveness, reliability, proactivity, and accountability. We want town staff to know who to call. We want them to know that we will respond, and just as importantly, that we're looking ahead and identifying opportunities before they become problems. We also place a great deal of value on the relationships we build with our clients. And we're really happy to hear that Tony experienced that when he was calling our references. How our partners experience working with us truly matters. We are proud of the relationships we have developed with our existing government clients, and we're grateful that they view us as a trusted extension of their team. And we really hope to have that same relationship, to build that same relationship with Portola Valley. And then just to close, we want to thank you again for the opportunity to introduce ourselves and for the confidence the town has placed in us. We're really excited about the opportunity to partner with Portola Valley, and we look forward to building a relationship with the town and helping Portola Valley maintain a secure, reliable, and well-managed technology environment. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right. Clarifying questions to Tony or John or Gabrielle?
I do.
Go ahead.
Hey, could you go back and show the slide on the financials, Tony? While you're doing that, I'll ask a different question. This is based on our normal contractor contract, right?
Correct. They have agreed to our standard professional services agreement.
And had you or anybody representing the town considered the termination notice period? It's 30 days if we terminate. And my question is whether it was considered that may be pretty short to put in place somebody else. I don't know if that was a subject of discussion.
I have not considered this, but if that is something the council would like to direct staff to
discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you. I just wanted to know where you'd already been before I start discussing things. Okay, Tony, on this, we are in the middle of the range. I mean, were there differences in the level of services driving these quotes, or was it apples to apples?
It was mostly apples to apples. There were some like the number of hours on site was 4. There were some variation between special projects. Some it was included in the monthly rate. Others it was a separate charge. But the average varied between what Apex, Eaton and Associates, and Stepford. Those were all comparable pricing models that they had.
Okay, thank you. One question I have is in terms of the capacity, if the references are keeping them, this question is for Eaton, and how do you scale? Because you're obviously, needing to if you're taking on new clients. So what assurances would we have?
Yeah, well, we're used to scaling. So that is not an issue. We have the ability to scale quickly based on need. We've had clients in the past. We work with corporate clients as well. We had a corporate client that required us to scale extremely quickly, to meet their need. It was for a temporary project, but we were able to do that for them. We're used to it. We know we have great connections to find good people. So we would be able to scale quickly, but we would not need to scale right now. We're able to support Portola Valley completely with the staff we have currently. But should we need to scale, it wouldn't be the first time.
And your onboarding process, I assume the staff spoke and is comfortable that there's a seamless possibility there.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. It's really important to me to make sure transitions are smooth. That's your first impression of us.
Yeah.
We work closely with your current provider. We have very well documented. I already have the agenda set up for you all and what we're going to do to get the transition. So that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. I only have a couple more. I don't know how your support dovetails with our need for system access in the schoolhouse. Like, I know we need a new system here. So there's actually two questions. One is, can they be involved in analyzing new equipment? What's the intent?
Yeah, that was a specific topic that was addressed in every interview with each firm.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of the updates occurring outside of hours that the staff is working, we have a lot of evening meetings, and I don't know if what you do would potentially interrupt our town schedule, which goes longer than most business days.
We would always work with the town to schedule this. So we would have reoccurring maintenance that's agreed upon. And it could be at any time. So it could be at 2 a.m, and I'm hoping these meetings wouldn't go that long for you all. So we can accommodate.
Yeah, we can outdo ourselves sometimes.
No.
My last question is on the resolution time. For a small jurisdiction, it was 3.6 hours versus the larger jurisdiction of 1.33. So can you give an overview of why that is?
It's massive tickets. The larger jurisdiction has it was 1,500 tickets, right? I think it was, versus 300. So it's just when you have more tickets, you can respond things a little bit quicker. It's average. I do want to stress that we do treat all of our clients the same, regardless of size. We hold we have a live dashboard. Our team is constantly tracking. We have multiple ticket coordinators. Anything that's falling out of our service level objective is red, and people will jump on it quickly. And also, as your account manager, anything that Tony and the group would feel is lingering, they would come directly to me and it would be fixed. So
okay, I'm not sure I follow the rationale, but that's the end of my questions.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for Eaton or for Tony?
Yes, this is Rebecca, Councilmember Flynn. In submitting your bid, it would appear that you did have the opportunity to do sort of a basic evaluation of our current system. Is that accurate?
I don't think we have access to your systems yet. So that would be one of the first things we do when we onboard would be a vulnerability scan. So we would be scanning your entire network, collecting all the information we need, identifying potential vulnerabilities, mapping out what we're going to tackle first. But I don't think we have access to your systems just yet. Tony, please correct me if there may be something I had missed.
We haven't coordinated with Separate yet.
My question wasn't about actual access. My question was more about the systems we have in place. I think there was a mention that we have 3 servers. The Wi-Fi, I don't know if the network Wi-Fi was discussed at all.
With information that we could.
Right. So based on that, do you have any sense of how extensive changes might be necessary to bring it up to, best practices we probably can't afford, but close to that? Or do you have a sense yet of that? Or
no, but we'll always work with the town and be reasonable. It's it's pretty standard practice that what we would do is we would iron out an IT roadmap for you all. And we'd identify there's always low hanging fruit. So we would tackle that quickly. And that's probably things that we can get done very quickly in the first couple of months. Anything that's larger projects, we would map out and we work closely with town staff, whoever our point of contact would be. And I believe in this case will be Elizabeth. I would work closely with her and we would budget. So we put together, I think typically our government clients like a 3-year budget. So it would be year 1. This is what we're hoping to get approved for the fiscal year, then year 2 and year 3. And it's really balanced between anything we identify as critical. And then of course there's the town needs, like what the town is looking to accomplish as well.
So just for clarification, when you say put together a budget, this is over and above the contract. Is that correct in understanding, or is it also some of it included in the contract?
So anything that's new additions. So for example, if we were to do a switch refresh, a server refresh, where we need to pull out old equipment and replace it with new equipment, that's considered project work and outside of the regular maintenance. And I think that tends to be pretty standard. So our contract covers all the maintenance, the workstations. But if I would say the best way to describe it is if there's going to be any sort of new, a new project. So like I said, with a switch refresh, a firewall refresh, a server refresh, those would be considered special projects.
And perhaps I could add a little clarity there. So, for example, the service contract would include if a computer died, replacing the computer, either a workstation or a server, that would be included. The hardware is obviously not included. But you mentioned that if you wanted a new AV system for the schoolhouse, or you are opening a new facility, that kind of work, which again we would consider net new, we would work with the town to develop a budget. But most of the day-to-day operational work is included in this contract. We don't like to nickel and dime our clients, and I'm sure our clients don't like it either.
So just to get clarification again on, for example, the AV project for the schoolhouse, are you saying that the scoping out of that project would be included, but the actual implementation would then be a special project, or would that not be?
That's exactly right. So we will present you with a plan, a potential budget, et cetera, based on our conversations with what you all are looking for. And then, the actual procurement and implementation would be an additional project that would be billed separately. And depending on the work, some things we would do ourselves, some things we would work with a specialist, just depending on the nature of what the work is.
And then I had a couple areas of confusion with respect to the contract. At several points, it stated that the standard contract was for 4 hours of on-site support, and you were recommending 8 hours. What was the final decision about that? Does the contract, the not to exceed 175,000 include 4 hours or 8 hours?
I believe we'll do what the town thinks is best. So if the town is used to and wants 4 hours, then we would do 4 hours. Memory serves me, I thought it was 2 days of 4 hours, but I could be wrong. And that's why we might have recommended 8. Typically, our clients like at least 1 full day. I can't remember if it was scope for 4 or 8, but I believe it was 4. Because that's what the contract asked for. Then
and so if we would need 8 hours, we would need to pay the hourly rate of $195 per hour for the additional 4 hours, which would be $780 per week. And multiply that by 50, we're coming up with $39,000. Is that correct? We would need to add that to the annual bill of $87,900 in order to get a full day.
If the town would like to have 8 hours, correct. But I believe, Tony, currently, is the town happy with their 4-hour on-site?
That is what we currently work under, but I think that's something that we're going to look at as we start. and then we'll make a determination if it's working or not, if we need more hours or less hours.
Okay.
We don't have a definite answer to that question right now.
Could I get, let's see, clarification on the not to exceed cost for the first 21 months? The annual price is 87.9, and also the contract terms, because the contract says until June 30th, 2028. And then the Eaton contract says it says for 3 years.
That was their proposal, not a contract.
Okay, so so what we're talking about today is for the
Through
21
June 30th,
months.
2028. And we are using twice the first 2 years, which it's paying for 24 months, but we're asking for spending authority up to 175, so that in case there are any additional costs related to implementation or anything that comes up post, that we still have the spending authority and we don't have to come back to council for another budget.
So in terms of things coming up, you're
And
thinking.
this amount is actually in the budget for the 2 years.
Okay, and so in terms of things that you're thinking might bump the cost up over their typical monthly would be some of the scoping projects that were critical that we needed to fix. Is that my understanding?
Whatever they identified during their initial assessment.
Okay. So I wanted to say that the biggest problem from the perspective of our residents, as well as kind of the frustration that occurs for town council members, committee members, commissioners, is the schoolhouse AV system that seems to fail on a regular basis. And many of our meetings, as Judith brought up, happen at 7:00 at night, and that's not covered in the standard help desk hours that you're proposing, which is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Personally, so what would happen in the situation where the system goes down at our meeting at 7:00? But how would Eaton handle that? What would be
that would be, yeah, that's a priority one. So you would be getting support. Typically, we can resolve most of these things remotely. I do remember from our conversations with Tony and Elizabeth that the town also has an AV vendor. So we would work very closely with them as well. But ideally, what we can identify is ways to make that system stable, work with the vendor, the AV vendor as well, to make that system more reliable, more stable. But should you have an issue during a meeting, you will get support. That would be considered a priority one issue, and we have some people available to assist. And then I would make sure that Tony, Elizabeth have my direct line as well. I think they both already do, and I can make sure that you would get support. That all of our government clients have these special meetings that are always after hours, so it's nothing new.
So,
and another, pardon me, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say another thing that we can do, and what we would typically do is once a new AV system has been implemented, we would have a person on site during the first meeting or two to ensure any little hiccups get ironed out immediately. Unless the AV vendor, depending on the nature of the project, is there to do that. But we do have some of our clients do request to have an on-site presence during the meetings. I wouldn't jump to that as a full-time forever option because it can get expensive. But I think that it's certainly something to keep in mind that during a transition period, or for example, if you're having a particularly special meeting and you're expecting hundreds or thousands of people to show up, then for an event like that, it might be appropriate to have an IT person physically on site. But those are the details we can work out with y'all.
And it's not possible for us to have an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. help desk instead of a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We can work with Tony and see if that's something we can put together. Yeah. So Gabriella requested 8 to 8 instead of 6 to 6.
Yeah, and I can confirm that you will get that regardless. If you need assistance, we would make that work. That's not a problem. But I can make a note and add it to our agenda.
I have a couple questions for staff. The contract refers to the services to the town as described in more details in Exhibit A. Exhibit A is empty, so maybe there's some point.
Exhibit A was their proposal.
Is their proposal, but yet their proposal is not 100% of what there's the only change from the proposal is the time, the duration.
Yeah.
Because their proposal says 3 years and we're doing it for 21 months.
Services are still identified.
Okay.
And we're comfortable with the distinction of the contract terms being the controlling reference for the timeframe of the contract, even though we proposed just a straight 3 years. So that doesn't present any problems to us.
And could our town attorney and our town manager give me a perspective on our requirements to accept the lowest bid, or are we able to accept a middle of the road bid?
For professional services, you have authority to accept a middle of the road bid. It's public works projects where there's a legal obligation to accept the low bid.
Okay, thank you. And could you also clarify, Tony, what the overlap will be between our departing service provider and Eaton?
So the schedule is September, and then have Eaton in place by October 1st.
So you're planning to have them come in a month ahead of time?
Yes, they'll be overlapping with Stefford.
Oh, okay. And do we have a cost for what that would be?
If they complete the implementation before the October 1st, then I believe that's included.
Not what I read. My read is if you wanted to have them come in 2 weeks before the implementation, before the start date, that there was an additional charge for that. But maybe I misread that. Anybody else see that?
Implementation is included in, I want to make this clear. So there's a monthly cost. If we start September, that would just be your regular monthly cost, and onboarding would be included in that.
So that's about 7,000, I think, something like that.
Right, but we've asked for
79. No.
Yeah, but that's still going to be less than what we're asking for.
What we're asking for?
So the amount of the contract is 24 months. The value of the contract.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So you're actually anticipating the contract starts September 1st, then it sounds like.
There'll be some initial costs that we will have to consider. Yes. That's why we're asking for an additional.
So why don't we write the contract starting September 1st? I'm confused.
Say, Rebecca, can you wrap up? Deputy council members.
Oh, okay. I guess my questions are not useful.
No, I think they're useful. I don't think we're going to get answers to all of them on the fly from the dais.
I think Darcy was about to answer Rebecca's question, actually.
We normally start the contract when it's approved, and then we have an implementation date, and that's when the work starts.
So is that September 1st then?
Let me pull it up and check, but I think it would be helpful if there's any other questions, let us know. We'll research that one.
Yep. So do you have any other questions, or can I move on to the council and they can research it while we're discussing other things?
Well, my only other question is that AI is on everybody's mind, and we're already late to the ball game, and so at some point we're going to need to have our new IT contractor consider that. So I'm just curious where that fits in.
Yeah, so I would probably start with, we would want to put together a policy. So it's always important to start with a policy around AI, how the town foresees utilizing AI. AI is really helpful, but it's not needed for everything. We would start there, identify need, and then figure out what AI can best fits in for the town. And then if there's tools that the town would like to utilize, we would highly recommend having a town-owned AI tool. So I would I would start with a policy, identify need for AI, and then we could go from there. But that's not a problem. The AI is top of everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And we can amend the date on the contract to September 1st.
What's that?
We can amend the date on the contract to September 1st.
All right. Other questions for Tony or Eaton? Ellen?
I have a question. Can you speak, Eaton? This is more for Eaton. Obviously, you're set up to do cybersecurity, but to protect against ransomware attacks.
Yes. Was that the question?
Yes.
Yes,
Could you
absolutely.
speak? Right, because ransomware attacks have taken out quite a few public agencies.
Yes. Yeah, so we have several tool sets. And I would definitely, what we could do is, Tony, I can connect with our technical team and actually write something up that we can present to council, or you can share with council after, that's more detailed. But absolutely, we have several tools that are monitoring your network, monitoring your emails, monitoring your servers. The tools that they are coming out with and that we would be deploying are quite advanced. They do have the ability to now isolate servers if they start doing weird stuff, mailboxes if they start doing weird stuff. We have our whole tool set is designed to fight cybersecurity threats. If the council's interested, I can get more details for you all on a document.
And if I could, I'd just like to add, 2 points to that. So, we agree. Ransomware is on the rise, and they're getting better and better at it. It's a multi-layered approach we take with the most advanced tools that are available to prevent it. That includes training for the individuals, because unfortunately, a person clicking on a link is one of the most common ways that bad things can start to happen. But we also try to layer in tools into the infrastructure. So even if a link is, by accident clicked, it doesn't run rampant through the entire environment. And another cornerstone of protection is your backups. So we're not familiar with the current backup system is with the town, but if you have reliable backups that are encrypted, and one of the things that we do as part of our normal services is we validate backups and do test restores on a regular schedule to ensure that they're good. In the very worst case, if ransomware does get in, say someone plugs an infected thumb drive into a computer or something, if the data is backed up and encrypted in backup, then we just wipe the computers, restore the data, and get rolling again. And it's a very annoying couple of days, but it's not disastrous, and you're certainly not you're not gonna be out of business, so to speak. So I think again that it's a key focus of ours. Cybersecurity is a key focus of ours, to do everything that we can to ensure that you have a good environment that's as secure as possible and resistant to as ransomware as possible. I can't say that it's impossible to avoid it. Given how sophisticated they are, I think there was one example of someone got infected by a fish tank that was on the internet. They hacked into a fish tank and hopped over. And another was socially engineered attack, where they pretended to be someone else. So, for example, we have procedures and policies in place to identify people calling support, so we don't start changing passwords for the bad guys, things like that. But yeah, it's a difficult challenge, and we recognize it. But we can do everything reasonable to ensure you aren't ransomware or infected. And then should something bad happen, that you can recover very quickly, and it's not a devastating event.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Other questions? Then I just have a couple. The first one is, how familiar are you guys with OpenGov?
What?
I'm sorry.
OpenGov. OpenGov. Software?
Yeah, pretty familiar with most government. We do a lot of work with what Tyler Technologies, Central Square, Trackit, OpenGov. Pretty familiar with most of them. Is OpenGov a pain point for the town?
Well, we're in the process of moving over to it. So in that sense,
Oh,
it's a pain
okay.
point.
Okay. Well, yeah, transitions.
Tyler was the pain point.
There we go. Okay. Well, yeah, happy to assist. We're very familiar with
Okay.
I
And
wanna
then
say
my
the
other
majority.
question, my other question, I mean, one of the things I was pushing for is, we need a part-time CTO. And so can you give me a sense for within your organization? I mean, how does that service get delivered? Like how do we see this sort of, part-time CTO?
Our CTO is heavily involved, especially when it comes to projects and cybersecurity. When we get you all on board, and one of the first things we'll do is the vulnerability scan, and that is reviewed by the CTO. He will assist me, the project manager, and put together a roadmap, identify anything that needs to be corrected immediately. The town will have direct access to the CTO as well via email or cell phone.
Gabrielle?
Yeah, please.
If I may. So everything Gabrielle said is correct. He works very closely with our clients. We also have regularly occurring meetings. I think it's typically every 2 weeks, and the CTO can attend those as needed, as requested. We also do quarterly business reviews, and by default, the CTO is there because that's when we focus on things that happened in the past and things we want to focus on in the future. And having that high level input is important. But yeah, the CTO reviews all of the big documents.
Okay. So, and I think what I heard
the
is that you're saying
planning, the
that sort of,
roadmaps, the projects.
right. And so quarterly, it sounds like we kind
It's
of have an
included.
opportunity to do sort of strategic planning. And then along the way, the CTO is looking at more of the immediate needs.
Exactly
Yes.
that. And I can coordinate.
And if you, yeah, I was gonna say if you want to talk to him next Wednesday, just let us know. We'll schedule a meeting. It's we don't lock him away in a glass case or anything.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. That's it for me.
Yeah, okay.
So can I open it up to public comment, or do you have some?
Oh, we haven't reached our regular comments yet.
We haven't gone to public comment yet. So these are just questions for Tony and Eden.
Okay. I have a very simple question, which is I'm not aware of who the previous person was.
Stepford.
Okay. That's what I was beginning to assume. And the other thing that I haven't seen in this anywhere is the user-friendly aspect and where, I mean, what I see is the struggling committees trying to make the system work in the schoolhouse and not working and not being able to get the meetings done and so forth. And to Rebecca's point, who is this AV vendor? And is that another whole account? And is this going to solve any of the real problems that we see in functioning as basically a committee run town?
This Crestor system, I believe it's Coda that does support. And so, they'll be working with Coda to make sure that we are connected.
Yeah.
In that.
Okay. And right.
Well, yeah, I think the larger issue here is this is what I was asking about the CTO is we should have a strategic discussion about our AV because the stuff we have is not, in my opinion, the right solution.
The system we have, it's not comprehensive.
And this is not going to fix it, I take it.
Not immediately.
We'll scope it out.
Scope it.
And then what ultimately is going to come down to funding. And this is going to be a CIP project that we're going to have to address. And it's going to be outside the scope of the contract.
All right. So I'm not, after these guys are done with their hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm not going to be able to go over to that computer and start the meeting. I take it. Okay. Got it.
But we do have significant experience working with towns and corporate corporate organizations on AV implementations. So we can certainly, put something together. We can work with your existing vendor partners if that's what's desired. So we can fix it. We just don't know what that looks like yet.
We will.
Yeah, we need to have a discussion. So,
Mhm.
okay. So I'd like to open it for public comment. Are there any public comment in the room? Yeah, please come to the microphone.
Yay.
You hang out a long time for this. Thank you.
We just came to listen, but now I do have a comment. Just to introduce myself, my name's Aaron Ebert. I grew up in Portola Valley. My partner and I just relocated back here. So excited to be here, and thank you guys for everything you're doing to make our town better. My first question was about AI, and Council Member Flynn, you asked about AI and how we're using it. I'm curious to Eton how you guys are using AI, and in what ways might some of our town's data be exposed through the AI that you're using? Should I list all my questions or?
Yeah, because generally you're up there to make comments, not questions.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But if the council feels like they're good questions, then we'll tend to.
Okay, I'll make them to you guys.
So yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, so basically every time a company uses an AI vendor, they are third party to this company, Eton, and any data that they take of ours is now going to that AI vendor. So for example, if you're using OpenAI and ChatGPT to process something about our town, that data is now exposed to ChatGPT. And it's important that their instance of ChatGPT is not being trained on our data, and that data remains private to our town so that they don't have that information about us. So anytime we have any vendor who's interacting with our data, I would say that's extremely important. One other thing I wanted to mention is you guys were talking about new AI or new AV equipment. Just how MSPs work, managed service providers, anytime they sell us new equipment, they're making money on that equipment versus us buying it. And that just raised the question in my head around, we have an incredibly intelligent town here, especially where we're based. And maybe it's worth having a call to volunteers of people who work in this space. I specifically work for an IT company in the governance, risk, and compliance space. So I have a lot of knowledge in this space. I'm not necessarily the person to find equipment, but I think there's a lot of intelligent people here. So I'd be curious to find the best, deal we could for the town and the best solution. And then the last question I just want to ask about, just because I'm knowledgeable in this space, if you guys feel it's worth asking, is they mentioned SOC 2 Type 2 compliance certification, which is a really great certification to have. And I was curious just to hear who their auditor was for that, because I have a lot of knowledge in the space. And if they plan to pursue any other framework certifications, those types of certifications help protect our data and ensure that the way that they're operating as a company is going to be safe for, everything we're giving them access to. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So what I would recommend is, why don't you,
Just
Mary-
wanted
hey,
to say
Mary.
you're hired.
Mary? So what I was going to suggest is, if you are interested, please do give your contact information to the town manager. And I'm sure we'd love to take advantage of that. So with some of those questions, why don't we start with the sort of AI and the sort of the protection of the data?
Yeah.
And I have a very simple answer. Sorry, Gabrielle, very simple answer. We don't use public AI we don't expose any of our clients' information to public AI. We have our own internal AI systems. So I agree with him. It would be inappropriate to do that, and something to be concerned about, but we don't use AI that way.
Okay, and then the other one that I would say generally was sort of SOC 2 and other certifications.
Gabrielle,
Right now
go
we
ahead.
have SOC 2. I would have to talk with our CTO regarding additional certifications, but right now we have SOC 2. And then I
And
could.
do you know who the
also-
audit? Do you know who the
Pardon?
auditor was? That was kind of the question around SOC 2.
That one I would need to ask, so I can get
Okay.
back to you on that one.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry,
Uh,
John, I interrupted you. Were you
Oh,
gonna
no
say-
worries. I was going to say we're also CGIS compliant, which is a little bit of a different security, but that's very important in the law enforcement world. So when we work with police departments and similar, like in airports, the CGIS is very important.
Okay, great.
I did want to address the selling of equipment. So all of our government clients have a purchasing policy. So what that would drive is that when we provide a quote, it either needs to have a cooperative agreement. So that means that it's already been vetted because we cited a cooperative agreement. So it is the best pricing. We get special pricing for the town. If we cannot get the town special pricing, we would tell them that they would need to look elsewhere. We would help them with that. Also, sometimes purchasing policies will require the town to collect 3 quotes. So that way it's as all government agencies have a purchasing policy. So it's not a gotcha. You have to get equipment from us. Not
Sure.
everyone, yeah, sometimes we have the best quote, sometimes we don't. So it's really, that's just how it goes.
Okay, great.
And I did want to chime in with the auditors. So we've worked with Vanta and Coop most recently. Coop is Koop.
Okay, I'm getting thumbs up in the room, so great, thank you. Okay, let me move to the next public comment. So I'll go online. So David Cardinal, you're up.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, first of all, this is a great presentation. And I think as far as keeping the trains running on time, this will be a big upgrade from our current vendor who doesn't even know the train schedule from what I can tell. My only comments relate to being realistic about what this is going to solve and not solve. A lot of our trains don't have tracks. So, for example, whenever the power goes out, which it does here a lot, unlike Hillsborough or Los Altos Hills even, or our cellular connection is bad, our meetings frankly go in the toilet. So a network architect who can make Starlink backup work, failover work, all that stuff I think is really important. And if Eaton can do that, great. I didn't hear that tonight, but we didn't ask them that. Second, on the AV, I've done a lot of AV systems and I get the volunteer buying the equipment, but then you don't want to be the person stuck maintaining it. So I'm okay with buying it professionally because I don't want to be the guy who has to go there. But I do think it's important. This support thing is kind of a red herring. I mean, if the meeting doesn't start at 7, or at least by 7:10, it might as well not start. So at some level, what I'd like to see between our IT vendor and our AV vendor is somebody who's on the hook that at 6:45 p.m., we have 99% availability in the schoolhouse. And if they can't guarantee that, then we aren't doing the right thing because that's really what we need. I think on some of that, Mohammed, their CTO, is really good on cybersecurity, reading his resume. He's not doesn't seem to be a super deep network architect, which is fine. But I think this is more a trains run on time thing. And then AI, I think it's interesting. I think we have a lot of people here in town. I mean, I do it 12 hours a day, who can kind of help with what we might benefit from. And a lot of us, like I do early childhood research at Stanford, so we know a lot about protecting information. So in that sense, we do have a lot of resources that I think we can help out with. But all in all, I would love to see us move off of the current completely broken train system. So thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Christy, you're up.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I think it's extremely important that the person's on site to help with the schoolhouse. I've gone to lots of meetings that start late, and I don't know how it could be done from a distance, and that's a concern. My second question, that's a comment, and then a question would be, what cities in San Mateo County have you worked with that have OpenGov? And what cities are those?
Okay, thank you, Christy. So Gabriel, maybe you can get back to us on that. I mean, that would be a
Yeah.
fine thing just to, get back to
Sure.
Tony. So, okay. I don't see any hands in the schoolhouse and I don't see hands up online. So I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the council. We can have some discussion, but the main issue here is to adopt a resolution authorizing the professional services agreement and the funding for it. So is there any additional discussion or do I have a motion?
So I do want to raise the termination timing. Like if somebody walked away from a contract with us, how long would the time to get someone else in place be? Because we've obviously got to do an RFP. So curious about what the length of time we ought to focus on is.
Both looking at me. I'd say this is a business term. But I would, 30 days is standard, but of course this is not a standard situation where, we would have to do, an RFP and this process has probably taken 3 months.
Yes.
So, I guess I would suggest with, depending on what, our town manager, assistant town manager think that we actually might want to put 90 days in that section of the contract if it's agreeable with Eaton. I think that would make more sense in terms of this contract.
Yeah, and for Eaton's benefit, the concern is obviously we're a small jurisdiction, extremely lean staff, and the RFP process. We really can't have a situation where we don't have an IT provider, and I'm kind of not used to seeing in business an ability to walk away, that quickly. So would that be something you would consider? You don't have to answer now, but that's what I'm going to recommend.
I can answer now. We don't have any problem with a longer
Okay,
period.
thank you.
If the town prefers 90 days.
Yeah. And then I heard during our discussions, we would start the contract on September 1 for purposes of a motion. Craig, I just want to make sure we know what we're proposing.
Yep.
Any other?
I just wanted to clarify, the contract, I believe, said that that 20 users would be supported. And I'm just curious who those 20 users are and if they do include the 5 of us here, guys.
We are very used to supporting council members and commissioners. Typically, a staff member reaches out on your behalf and we then reach out to you. You're more than happy to reach out to me directly and I can get you someone connected. We can coordinate either on-site support for you or remote support, but commissioners and council members, we work with on a daily basis.
Yeah, but Gabrielle, I think at the point was we just need to work with Tony and ensure they're included
On the
in whatever the
numbers.
X number. Yeah. Yeah.
You got
So if the number, and Tony, I don't know the answer, but we can work with you to adjust as appropriate to include any council or members or anyone else that wishes to be included if that's what the town's decision is.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
Yep.
Okay.
My only comment is thank you for putting all this together to the staff.
Yep.
These are good options. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's my comment. This has been a long time coming. So, thank you for finally getting it, kind of over the goal line, so to speak. All right. Any more discussion? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the contract with Eaton with the 2 changes of September 1 start date and 90 days termination notice for Eaton.
Right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you guys virtually online, and we look forward to seeing some of you in person.
Thank you so
Us
much.
as well. Thank you very much.
We're
Have a good evening,
excited.
everybody.
Okay, so that closes out the regular agenda. Now we move to number 8, subcommittee liaison and regional agency reports. Are there any oral reports or just what's the written ones?
I have a couple. I attended, and I think I saw Judith in the background too, the Stanford Human Centered AI little conference that they had. And they the group issued a 400-page document where they analyzed all the changes in AI for the past year and what impacts they might have on a variety of different situations, including employment, economy, et cetera, et cetera. So if people are interested, we can send the link around to that report. And also I was able to make several contacts with different municipalities and learned that Los Altos Hills has signed up for an AI vendor to help them. And there's a couple others. San Jose has a Gov AI consortium that we are invited to participate with as well, where it's sort of an analysis of, working through the issues of AI in government. So there's a bunch of great contacts. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was Councilmember Hasko's report on ABAG. And it seems to me that there is some next steps for the council to work on in terms of whether it's working with San Mateo County to create a larger subgroup to deal with the Arena 7, or have a relationship with some other jurisdictions, for example, to share our regional housing needs. So I'm just wondering what the next step is in terms of, what you view and what the staff views, in terms of what we should be doing about addressing Arena 7, which will be coming down the pike next year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want us to respond.
Well, I was going to say, given these are reports, I don't think there's too much room to comment here. But what I would suggest is maybe you and Rebecca can work on a proposal and bring it back to us on what next steps we should be taking with regard to ABAG.
Yeah. But to add on the HAI conference at Stanford, there's a lot going on. I do recommend that we circulate the link so people can understand general trends. I just found it pretty interesting on a policy level. And it did point out the need to start getting AI related policies, what can be used, what can't. So it's not a tomorrow thing, but I really think we need to have policies to protect the town. And then the next step would be policies on making ourselves efficient using AI within whatever we learn we can do. So just plant that thought. But I did think that was a very cool gathering. And on the ABAG stuff, there are some significant changes. So as a preview, I think it's going to be making sure we're getting ahead rather than being reactive this time on the new things that we see coming. So we'll put it together.
Great. Thank you. Okay. With that, I'd like to open it up for public comment.
Oh, I had some comments.
Well, do you have another report?
I wanted to comment and make
Okay.
sure that everyone's was invited to the Silicon Valley Leadership Group from pilot to practice building local government capacity for AI adoption. I'm assuming everyone got that invitation, but to make sure that everyone, Silicon Valley Leadership Group is a very strong group around here. So for everyone to be aware of that. And then I also noticed the sub-region idea. So if you guys are doing a subcommittee, which it sounds like you might be, or not official, because
We can't do one tonight.
right. I would note that, be thoughtful about which agencies oversee it, whether like if you're looking at Ladera, you would be working with Ray Mueller's office potentially or something like that specifically. Or if you want Woodside, right? So and then thanks to Mary for, while I was out of town, she went to BPTS. And all my other committees were canceled for summer break. Thank you.
I did have one thing. Can I do it?
Yeah, sure.
As the MROSD liaison, I contacted the person who's coming on as District 6 representative. Was he here?
Yeah.
Brian Beck was here this evening at the beginning.
At the beginning. Okay, I missed him. Yeah, so I called him, and you know him.
I know him. He's
Yeah.
he's a super nice guy.
Super good guy, and I think we're really lucky. That's our district.
Yeah.
Margaret McNivens.
Yeah, and no, No, Margaret McNiven.
Right, Ward 6.
But at any rate, of interest is that he actually owns property on Los Trancos. His wife grew up in our town, and he knows this corner extremely well, and he understands the problem exactly. So I think we're very fortunate. And he came when I asked him, and I didn't see him.
Yeah, no, he was definitely here. So, okay, great. So I'd like to open it for public comment. Are there any public comments? Please come up to the mic.
I know you said comments, but I have more of a question. What use do we have for AI in our local government?
Okay, so this is a comment period, and this is on subcommittee and liaison reports. So I think we can hear your question, but we won't address it tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, checking online. I don't see any hands online, so I am going to close that agenda item and move on. I would accept a motion to adjourn. All right. Okay, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.